there, worm people. Captain Matt here. We have something very exciting to show you tonight. These two bins right here, we call those our mega bins. I just want to take you to the back of the bins, and we'll come back here and I'll explain what's going on. But I just wanted to show you something because it's such an amazing sight. I decided to bring all the worms to one location. And so 5 days ago, I set up a system to draw all the worms.
Worm castings are the best fertilizer on the planet and can revitalize soils that have been ravaged by chemical fertilizers. Captain Matt is not your average worm farmer. This year, he'll produce 10 tons of worm castings in his garage to sell in his local community. Matt wants to mentor you to help you achieve your worm goals. He doesn't throw big words or complicated information at you. He's a farmer with dirt under his fingernails. He'll teach you proven approaches that work. Subscribe now and then head over to wormpeople.com to jumpstart your worm farming journey.
We'll take a peek at how the worms responded. But there we go. So we put down some nice fresh compost for them, and then we put fresh veggies on top of that, and then we put some chicken, some Captain Matt's worm chow on top of that, and then some alfalfa with a little bit of crystallized molasses. And we put that all there. I gave it a little water every single day, and every day more and more worms showed up. And so we're going to show you this. We have 5 of those, and we're going to show you them and give you an idea of what's going on. But we built these last year. Every year I try different ways of creating compost, raising the most compost we can with the most worms we can. As I mentioned before, I'm trying to make it all workable for me at my ripe old age now. And so we built these bins here. And the bins, these both had fronts on them. And we started these bins, and I've spoken about this before, and we had a hill here of bedding. And we put the food on top and put the worms in. And we continued every week, and we put some more bedding on top and more food. And as the hill grew, the worms moved with the food, and we kept going. And this went on for 8 months. And by the 8-month point, we got all the way to here and filled the bin entirely. Now, the object of this bin was that when we got here, we could remove all the compost with the majority of worms being right up here, because that's where we're doing all the feeding. They're following the food, and we knew we would have our castings back here, and it's worked really well. In the middle of this whole situation, we decided that we're going to move these 2 bins into another location. So because of that, I've drawn all the worms into one location. We're actually, in a few minutes, we're going to remove the worms, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to harvest all the castings here, sift them, and get them ready for market. But generally speaking, this process, I've renamed it. And I call it the wave, because we're literally creating a wave that keeps moving and keeps moving closer and closer. And when a wave hits a wall, and I do that all the time on a boat as a captain, that wave bounces off the wall and it moves back again this way. And so the object of these bins was to get it to this point, get the worms all here, and then cut it off and take all the castings, and then start the wave on an angle going back for the next 8 months and letting the worms follow us. We're going to do that in another location, and we're still doing it in 3 other bins right in the location. But for now, I just need to remove all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove the worms that I've drawn up. I'm going to take the worms and move them to another location, and then I'm going to reset that pile of food so that it draws additional worms, and we'll probably get 90% of the worms up to that pile. We'll move them into a bin temporarily until we get this set up in another location. So let's look at this pile. We looked at that pile already to start with. Although the worms seem to be right around there, they're literally all through here. They're hiding, they're underneath. There's a lot of food. So we're gonna lift this whole thing up and just put it in a bin. I'll start back here. I don't want to damage worms, although sometimes folks, when you are moving worms around or putting them in a trommel or sifting them, sometimes worms do get hurt. But we're going to be as careful as we can not to hurt a bunch of worms. Oh, look at the rich pile of worms there. This is the periphery now. So now I'm going to go right under we're definitely going to leave a lot of worms behind. We will once again set up this food system for them so that the remaining worms will come up to the top. There's a lot of worms in here. So we're just going to put these aside because we're going to put them in another bin. What that's allowed me now is I'll reset that pile with some special food there to attract them, and we'll probably get about that number again. A lot of the worms did not follow the food. They kind of got lost, I think, in the mega bin, as they would in any bin. But so when I do take and sift out the worm castings, there are a lot of worms, and we do a lot of separation at that point also. So, but this is the good majority of the worms that were available to take from the top. But again, there's loads of worms still down below, and we'll separate those through the sifting process. Captain Matt signing out. God bless you. So good to see you again, and we'll see you again real soon.
Subscribe now, and then head over to wormpeople.com to jumpstart your worm farming journey.